Welcome back to the Hill Update. I'm your host, Dean Allison from Niagara West. Joining me on the show today is Marc Dalton, Member of Parliament for Pitt Meadows-Maple Ridge. Marc, I'll get you to finish your thought when you're talking about what inflation and what interest rates have done to mortgages before we go on to continue talking about the budget.
Yeah, people are struggling because of how much more everything has gone due to inflation. But now with the interest rates, in order to combat inflation, it's making it a tremendous challenge. I'll just give you one example of a fellow I talked to on the weekend, and he was just in a state of anxiety and not able to sleep on medication. And why? Because he has to renew his mortgage coming up. Doesn't know how he's going to make it. So these are problems that everyday Canadians are facing across the country.
Okay, so I want to focus on a comment by Pierre Poilievre as it brings a few important points to light on the subject of fairness. So let's watch this video first.
The opposition.
Mr. Speaker, he is the ultra-wealthy. He hid his family fortune in a tax-sheltered trust fund so he wouldn't have to pay the same tax as everyone else. He vacations with the ultra-wealthy on their private islands in tax-preferred locations where they can hide their money and avoid paying their fair share here in Canada. And now he's paying off the ultra-wealthy by spending $54 billion on debt interest, more than on health care. Why give more money to the ultra-wealthy bankers and bondholders instead of the nurses and doctors?
Okay, Marc, the Prime Minister is always talking about how the people need to pay their fair share, right? But it also seems like the wealthy don't have to play by the same set of rules that most Canadians have to. His money is in a tax-funded, that's in a trust that's taxed differently than most regular Canadians. So most middle-class Canadians can't actually access or afford the various options available to the ultra-wealthy. So I guess my question is, as the growing debt rests on the shoulders of taxpayers and interest payments goes into the pockets of the ultra-wealthy, what's going on?
Well, I don't think Justin Trudeau is really concerned about everyday Canadians. I think he's more interested in, I think he likes his position to be a regent, vacationing on the islands with billionaire friends who are sheltered their billions of dollars. And so, but, $54 billion is going towards interest payments this year. Now, it's really kind of interesting that that's exactly the amount of money, almost exactly the amount of money that is goes to healthcare by the federal government to all across Canada. So it's like, because of the reckless spending and debt accumulation, it's actually undermining the health and well-being of Canadians. And he's got these new programs. He's got one now on pharmacare, and wants to develop new programs. Well, if you just manage things and did things in your jurisdictions better, Canadians would benefit. And something else is that $54 billion in interest payments this year is about as much as is collected by the GST. And that's just by mismanagement. So, when Canadians go to, when they pay for something to see the GST, you just think, well, that is Justin Trudeau's tax of mismanagement.
Sure. Now, also introduced was an increase in the capital gains tax, which will appear to punish everyday Canadians who want to leave something for their children and for their grandchildren. Wealthy individuals always have the option to move their money and their assets to other places or more favorable jurisdictions if they want. So that's something that most Canadians don't have access to. Love to have your thoughts on that.
Well, it's a real concern, especially for those that are passing the funds down the generations, and that's everyday Canadians. And so we're hearing a lot about it, begin to hear a lot about it from different sources. And so I think it's important that people call out. It can't just be the politicians saying something. It needs to be, people need to express their voice through petitions, through connecting with media, whatever way they can to share their thoughts about it. And so, I was talking, or one of my staff was talking to a local accountant, who manages about $750 million of assets. And she's been in it for about 30 years. And she said it's the first time she's been actually scared about the future. She said that out of all the businesses, small business, all the people that she is, as far as the businesses that she is doing accounting for, only one is making a profit. It almost seems like the Liberal government, Liberal NDP government has a war on work, on investments, on wealth, on making Canadians prosper, and on businesses doing well.
So I'm going to hold that thought. When we come back from break, we're going to talk very quickly about the carbon tax because that wasn't touched. As a matter of fact, it still continues to come up when we come back from break.